The third show of 5, right? So we're almost halfway there. Quinn told me this morning, so I appreciate that. I'm Deborah Boughton, in case you don't know who I am. I feel like I know everybody in here, so I don't have to introduce myself every time. I wanted to start off this super special show. You know, I've been making a big deal about this birthday thing. But if you all don't know, I have the opportunity to be part of the hiring process for Coach Carlsen and Coach Sutcliffe. I found out about a week or so after we hired Coach Carlsen that they actually happen to have the same birthdays. So I only hire people that have December 11th birthday. It's really difficult to find those people, so it's really difficult. So we have a birthday cake back here. So Bill, can you help us out? And then we're going to sing for them real quick. So you guys can get together and blow out these little candles. And we won't tell everybody how old you are. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for coming and sitting with her, or you going and sitting with her. It's going to happen together. Yep. All right. I appreciate you guys playing my game. I love this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, sing.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear
All right. Thank you, coaches. And before you leave, please grab cake. There's also champagne and orange juice back there. Huh? So I know this table already got started, so they're going to go second round here in a minute. But please enjoy the day and celebrating our two coaches. So welcome back, everyone. I want to recognize our boss, Mr. Frazier. Thank you for coming today. Really appreciate it for the birthday celebration. And then Melissa Dawson is also here supporting our cause, so thank you for coming. I appreciate it. So we just got back, and I know Coach is going to talk a lot about basketball, but we just got back from Southern Illinois, and they hosted the inaugural Compass Challenge. So we're going to host it next year. So that's Southern, Eastern, Western, and us competing in a tournament. Next year it'll look a little different. It'll actually have a winner. This year it didn't. It was sort of a pre-planned game, but super exciting, and I really, Southern did a great job. They had gift baskets and shirts and floor decals and really, really put it together. This was something that the head coaches came up with of those 4 schools and said, let's play each other. Why not? Why aren't we playing each other regularly? So we host it next year in December. So I really kind of want to put that on people's calendar. I really want to make it special for the teams that come in. One of the things that I thought we could improve on that they didn't do is really kind of pump up that off game. Like the game we're not in, let's show up for it. It's women's basketball. If you love women's basketball, you love us. I know you'll show up for that game too. So just think about that next year. It was a super cool event that Southern did a great job putting on. I also want to recognize real quick, I know it's a little off, we are talking about softball today, but Dee Abrahamson was recently notified that she's going to be in the 2019 NFCA Hall of Fame. So congrats. That's a huge accomplishment. Awesome for Dee, awesome for NIU. We'll take some of your credit there and make sure we float that along, so thank you. But that's incredible, and I know Coach Sutcliffe and Donna Martin also had some part into nominating her, so that's cool. So some upcoming events, you all know we have a bowl game coming up. We're actually leaving Friday. The big group is leaving Friday. We play on Tuesday, so I know everyone's disappointed. I'm not going to be at the game on Monday. I know. Melissa's going to stand in for me. So when we win, that'll be a thing. I probably won't be able to come back. So we'll see how that goes. So please cheer loud. And it's actually also happens to be my birthday. So that's another reason to win on that day as well. I wanted to reiterate, I know Coach sent out in her email that we are selling single game courtside. So we have about 10 seats that aren't sold right now. I know there's some folks in here that sit courtside, Wendy, Cohen. Who else in here sits courtside? It's super fun. But it's $25 to upgrade, and it's a super cool experience. You can actually trip the refs if you want, if you're feeling that way. But it is really fun. You can see it up close and personal. The seats are going to be opposite the visitor bench, but check that out. Or if you have friends that want to come and experience that, it's really cool. Thursday night is the radio show at Rosati's. Sally, all the handouts are on the table, so I have to write it down for you. But Thursday night, Rosati's. What did I do last time? I think first radio show. What did I do? First round on me. Anybody? First round on me for people that are in here. At the radio show, 7 o'clock on Rosati's. So even you, Mike. I'll even buy you a drink. You all heard that. It's going to be on the YouTube later. Again, doubleheader on Monday. So after our game on Monday night, there is going to be a men's game. And 2 more non-conference games, the Friday to 21st, and then New Year's Eve. So those are great. I know you know about those. Real quick, 2 other things I wanted to make you aware of. We're having the painting party like we had last year. It's on the 5th of January. So the handout is on there. It's $30 to paint a really cool Husky scene. If you see how I paint and how it ended up at the end, it's remarkable how great it is. The gal comes and fixes it after you leave. Let's see, golf tournament. Wendy's going to come play in the golf tournament with us, so it's on June 23rd, so thank you. And Ruth and Donna, so please put that on your calendars. I know we talked about it last time. And then lastly, just wanted to get something. Our next show is in January. There's another date on here, so I'm sure you all know when it is. But January 18th, women's gymnastics opens. The 8th. It's on the 8th. Fabulous. Okay. January 8th is our next copy of Carlsen. And then March 23rd is we're going to host the MAC Championship in gymnastics. So again, if this is about women's sports and how we support each other, then I would expect that folks would want to put those dates on their calendars. So. Okay, well, I embarrassed Lisa already, so I won't do it anymore. But again, happy birthday to both these wonderful coaches. Thank you for being here with us. And Lisa, I know you are anxious to hear all the great things that have happened in the last 6 weeks, month with Coach Carlsen in basketball. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. I do want to recognize also a couple people, as I usually do when other head coaches show up to this. I think it's pretty special. Obviously, Sud is going to talk a little bit later about softball, but she's the one that's here all the time in support of what we do and a huge part of our department. So thank her again for being here. Our soccer coach is also here, Julie Kohlhoff. You had the opportunity to hear her a couple of Coffee of Carlsens ago. But thanks for being here this morning as well, Julie. There's a lot going on since the last time we met in November, to say the least. But I want to start off, because we can now, and talk a little bit about our signing class. Because when we met, I think it was actually during the dead period, and I told you we were going to sign 3, but I couldn't really talk a lot about them. Excuse me. But I can now, and I think it's a pretty special class for a lot of reasons. One of the kids that we signed, her name is Asia Davis, and many of you know Asia because she's actually a DeKalb native. She just doesn't go to school here. So when I first got the job, I remember going to a DeKalb high school game, and there was a freshman on the team, and she didn't look anything like a freshman, and I thought, wow, this kid's going to be something special. So I found out a little bit more about her. Excuse me. And come to find out, her mom played here. And her mom's name is Noopy Thigpen. So some of you who have been around a while probably remember Noopy. So I remember watching Asia, and again, she was a freshman. And then the next year, she wasn't on the team anymore. And I thought, well, that's odd. So I started trying to figure out where she went, because I remember her. Well, a lot of you also remember E.C. Hill. So there was a transition, and EC actually got the job in Florida at a prep school, Mount Verde, and she talked Asia into coming to Florida to prep school. So Asia ended up going down there to school. Her mom and her brother and everybody still lives here. This is going to be a struggle. Excuse me. So we were able to continue to follow Asia, and she actually played AAU basketball up here in the summer. And lo and behold, 4 years later, she signed her NLI to come here and play as a Husky. But again, what's special about her is you don't get an opportunity necessarily to continue to recruit that Husky blood. And there's something to be said for that, because it runs deep. You know, it's not just like, yeah, I'd like to come to NIU. Tell me a little bit more about it. She lived it. So Asia is about a 6-foot power player. She's great around the basket, and obviously we love her skill set, but we love her as a person as well for a lot of reasons. So it'll be fun to have her back home. You know, a lot of us were like, you've been in Florida, it's nice, it's warm. She's like, I miss the winter, so she's ready to come home. We also signed a point guard out of the Racine, Wisconsin area. Her name is Shelby Coker. She's averaging about 28 points a game right now as a senior. She can really score the basketball. And she was able to play, so she plays at a small Lutheran school in high school, but she was able to play on the top Illinois AAU team and play on the national circuit. And it's funny because she's not very big, and I know you guys love that because you think we should get 6'5", and I get that. But she's a point guard who is just gritty. And you look at her in a uniform and you're like, is she going to be able to get it done? I can tell you that she is going to be able to get it done because she played, again, on the national circuit in the summer against some of the top recruits in the country and held her own. So you're going to love her. And again, somebody who's really, really excited to be a Husky. And then the other guard that we signed out of the Fort Wayne area, Grace Hunter is her name, just recently broke the school record for scoring at her high school. So again, somebody who understands how to put the ball in the basket, which is really important. And Grace, too, my favorite recruiting story about her, so she was recruited by a lot of teams in the MAC and regional mid-major schools. And she said, when I came to NIU, I loved it because the cornfields made it feel like home. I said, well, that's pretty special. We love that. So those three signed in November, and they will join us. They will actually join us this summer. All three really good students, and again, I think great cultural fits for the program. And that's probably, again, what I'm most excited about with this class. This is also finals week for our kids, so we've played a lot of basketball in the last, again, since the last time we got together. But they get a little bit of a break now to really concentrate on finishing out the semester strong. It's not generally a week that stresses me out from an academic standpoint, only because we have great students and they really take care of business in the classroom. But we got back from Carbondale on Saturday night, and then we don't obviously play until Monday, so they have all this week to really finalize things in the classroom and finish off the semester strong before we come back after the holiday. So we wish them well, and again, I know that they'll do great. So since the last time we've played 7 basketball games, which it seems like a lot. It seems like a long time ago, but if you remember, we met right before we had the opportunity to host the last WNIT game and play Northern Iowa. And we were excited about that opportunity, again, because Northern Iowa has great tradition from a women's basketball standpoint, a team that is traditionally at the top of the valley. And I thought our kids came out and played a tremendous basketball game against a really good team. And it was good to see, coming off of the Iowa State game where we felt like we played okay, but we kind of let some things get away. And again, Iowa State went on to win the WNIT, so a really good team, and kind of took care of business against Northern Iowa to round out those 3 games in the preseason WNIT. That was a remarkable experience for our kids, for our staff, and to have 2 of those games at home. Again, I can't thank the administration enough for making that happen because it was pretty special. Then we went to Indiana. Again, a great experience, having the opportunity to go to Bloomington, play in that arena with, again, the historical aspect of that, and actually we were leading at halftime. Played a really good first and second quarter. Things got away from us a little bit in the second half, but I don't know that Indiana, I think they've gone on to win. I don't think they've lost since we played them. So, again, an opportunity to play teams like Indiana or teams like Iowa State are only going to help us going forward. And then we came back home for Education Day, and again, a lot of you were there. A great atmosphere in the building as far as the noise level. I think we had 1,200 people there. Played NDSU, and again, from a team standpoint, played really well. Definitely led by our seniors. I think we had 11 threes that day. Felt like we finally put some things together offensively for an entire 40 minutes. And had a lot of success doing it. Our kids loved that day, not just because of the noise in the building, but so after the game, they get an opportunity, every school that comes, to take a picture on the floor with our players, sign posters, and I know from my kids being a part of it, it's a great experience for the young people in our community. So it's something we'll continue to do. Again, it's something that a lot of women's basketball teams do across the country and has really become a staple in everybody's schedule. So we will do it again next year. And then we headed out west to Montana. We went to Missoula, Montana. I had never been there before. As Coach Maria would say, Missoula is beautiful this time of year, multiple times. The mountains are pretty. I think the thing that I feel like I would do different, I guess I would say, is it's a tough place to get to. It's a tough place to play. Our travel was not ideal. We spent a lot of time with a couple different layovers in Denver. And unfortunately, I think that really affected us against Montana. I think the altitude was a factor. I think our travel was a factor. And not that we're ever going to make excuses, but we were down 18 in the first quarter. And that's tough to come back from. Now, the next 3 quarters, we played pretty good basketball. I think there was an acclimation period that went on. And Montana's a really good team. I mean, they're going to go on. They won their tournament against a really good field from a competition standpoint. And I don't want to discount what they did and will do the rest of the season, but I felt like I didn't do a very good job of preparing us for what that was going to be like. Not that I can control the weather and layovers and the altitude, but I don't think I factored that in enough probably in our planning. But again, in true Husky fashion, the next day we came out and we played Nevada, and again, really put on an offensive show in a lot of different ways. I think we had 12 threes. We had 5 people in double figures and really controlled that game from the start. And I'll talk a little bit about the injury update in a little bit, but it was at a cost, to say the least. And then we came back just for a couple days and then headed to Carbondale. I know that Deborah alluded to that Compass Challenge, which has been in the works. Coach John does most of our scheduling, and that's something that has been talked about actually for quite some time. And it only makes sense if you think about our preseason, our non-conference schedules the last few years. We're playing Western, we're playing Eastern, and we try and get on the schedule with Southern. So it only made sense that we make an event that surrounds basically the state tournament is what Southern like to call it. I think it'll be great for the fans. Again, Southern did a great job of putting it on, but it'll be something that continues to go on for years to come, and we get the opportunity to host that next year. You know, going into the Southern game, I'm going to be real honest with you, I had no idea what that first quarter especially was going to be like. I mean, the look of our team when we went on the floor there was so different and so unpredictable, I guess, in a lot of ways. And so, you know, I had a million questions like, what are you going to do? What's it going to look like? And I didn't have an answer. I was hopeful that, and I told the kids this, most of the time when you're put in an adverse situation like that, you rely on your culture getting you through it. You know, you feel like if you put things in place and understand why we do what we do and who we do it for, that you're going to be able to handle it. And for the most part, I think our kids did exactly that. Gabby had an opportunity to step into the starting lineup. You know, going from playing 5 to 6 minutes a game to playing 40 shouldn't be a problem, right? But she didn't disappoint. You know, she had 27 points, shot the ball really well, shared the ball. She did a phenomenal job stepping into that starting role in Courtney's absence. And we didn't win the game, but I felt really good about the direction that we were heading with our new look. Then we turned around and played Western. And again, I know that you guys know what happened in the Western game. The last 2 years against Western, we went to Western 2 years ago and got beat when we feel like we shouldn't have got beat. But they were really good, went on to win 20-plus games, played postseason basketball. And then last year's Western game, if you remember, was Kelly's buzzer beater. With like 2 seconds left, she turns around, hits it at the buzzer, and we win. And again, they have a phenomenal year. So our games with Western have been very significant since I've been here. What Michaela was able to do in the Western game seemed so simple. And it wasn't, and I know you laugh at that, but she made 52 points look really simple. A credit to, again, I think Coach McGinty did a great job of putting us in position, putting her in position to catch the ball in spots where she could be successful. They play a different style of zone, and that's all they ever play, so we knew what we were going to be up against. Courtney's yelling on the bench, they should probably make an adjustment, which is probably true after about 40. But she was able to catch and shoot for the most part at will the entire time that she was on the floor. And as the all 52 points scroll behind me, I think the most exciting thing to watch is if you watch our bench. After every score, it gets more and more intense as far as what they are witnessing and watching happen. And the fun part also was to watch the other 4 players on the team find her and get her the basketball. Michaela had a great night, but the team really, really relished in her success, and I thought that was a lot of fun to watch. Okay, as far as an injury update, most of you know, and here's where we're at. Courtney has been Player of the Week 2 times this year. In the Nevada game, she had 28 points, shot the heck out of the ball. In the fourth quarter, goes up for a Euro that she's done 1,000,000 times in her career. And if any of you have been around the game of basketball and understand the noise that comes out of a human body when somebody tears their knee, it's unlike any other sound. And this team has been through a lot from an ACL standpoint. And I think the hardest thing, obviously, I'm heartbroken for Courtney, no doubt about it. But to watch the reaction of her teammates was really difficult because many of them had been through it, and the others who hadn't had heard that before. And so for us, we had 5 or 6 minutes left in the game, and we pulled together, and I'm like, listen, we have got to finish this game. We have to get it together and finish this game. And I was proud of them for that because that was difficult. The first play of the game that Erin goes in that very same game, again, goes in the middle of the lane, goes up for a floater. She's done 1,000,000 times, comes down funny, shoots 2 free throws, comes out of the game, and she's done for the game. And I'm thinking, well, it's just odd because it's not out of the ordinary. They didn't do anything that they haven't done 1,000,000 times. So we're without Erin, and we lose Courtney. And so we get home, and of course, nobody's more anxious yet nervous about MRI results than the rest of the team. And find out that Courtney had, in fact, tore her ACL and will have surgery and will miss the rest of the season. The silver lining there is that she will be able to medical redshirt, and get that year back, and she plans to do that. The good news with Erin after her results is that it's not season-ending. It is a knee sprain. I would call her day-to-day. It will probably be a while, but I don't anticipate that she will. We would love to have her back for MAC play. That's really the hope, is that we can get her back to being healthy and ready when we start MAC play after the first of the year. John A., again, most of you knew about her. She had retorn her same ACL in practice probably about 2 weeks ago now, so she will have that repaired soon. And again, hope to get her back and have really, really good rehab there in hopes of not having that happen again. So, the anticipation of this year, I can tell you that this team has not lost focus on what our goals are. Will we look different? Absolutely. And will we have to find different ways to win ball games? Maybe, because especially those 3 that I mentioned have been huge parts of what we have been and planned for. But this team, and I think Abby might talk a little bit about it, has not changed their goals, and neither have we from a staff standpoint. And I mentioned earlier about the only way that you get through those kind of things if you have established really good culture and team-first attitude. And that's what I continue to be proud of these guys about. And we have shown the resilience that we're going to need to be able to accomplish that. So as bleak as maybe that sounds after I give the injury update, I don't necessarily like to talk about it anymore. The hope and the anticipation of the new us is real. And I think these guys, the players believe it, the coaches believe it, and that's what we get paid to do is figure it out. And they'll be ready to do that. So we're excited about what that's going to look like. The great thing is it gives other kids opportunities that they maybe didn't think they were going to have as early as they have in their career. And again, I think Gabby's a great example of that. She plays as a starter in the first 2 games. She has 27, and then I think she ended up with 15 and 9 assists in the Western game. So an opportunity to play significant minutes that again, she may not think she was ready for. And that's the difference between this year and last year. If I compare the two, we talked about this from a staff standpoint. We felt like we didn't necessarily prepare everyone on the roster for their opportunity, no matter when that came. I feel very different about this year's roster in being able to step up to the challenge, because I think they have worked really hard in the offseason in preparation for, if my number is called, I'm ready. And that's why we can be optimistic about everything going forward. Does anybody have questions for me? Comment. Perfect.
Back to the education day. the defense smothered, was it North Dakota State? Is that, obviously you were gone, so we didn't see. Did that defense play like that the other games?
We have been a lot better defensively, and again, a credit to Coach Maria and Coach Tandez especially for instilling a lot of our defensive fundamental principles. And I think you're right. If you watched the NDSU game, defensively, we were really good.
Some of their girls were standing still. I mean, they couldn't do anything. And then I watched, on one of the TV games.
We have gotten a ton better, for sure. And as we feel really good about that, and our offense has been a little bit of a roller coaster, although I feel like we've played some pretty tough competition in non-conference, which will be great in preparation for the MAC. I think we really can look at both sides of the ball now and see the improvement from a game-to-game standpoint. And I think what's most important about that, and I alluded to this, and I told the players this yesterday, when you prepare for an opponent, there's a million different ways to try and beat somebody. And it will be different every single night. Some nights we're going to have to be really good in certain aspects on the defensive end because we may not feel like we have the advantage that we would like to have on the offensive end. Other nights there'll be times where we may have mismatches that we feel like we can really go at somebody and outscore somebody. So there's a lot of different ways in preparation, again, and that's up to us as coaches to figure out how are we going to beat this team tonight. And that may be different every night out. So when you feel like you've done what you need to do on both sides of the ball to prepare yourself for that, that gives you a little bit of, calm before the storm that you're going to be able to get it done. And maybe I haven't been able to say that about our defense in the last couple of years, so that's good. Anybody else? All right, then I would like to introduce Abby Wollicott. She's our player in the spotlight today. So I won't talk a lot about Abby because I'll let her talk about herself, which I know she loves to do, but she's a junior forward from Rockford. And I will tell you, hard worker, awesome teammate, great student, and just an awesome fit to what we're trying to do here. So Abby, come on up.
All right, hello. Quick little fun fact about me. If I could look at all the classes I've taken so far in college, I would choose freshman comms public speaking to never take again. So I'm a little traumatized by that. But my name's Abby. Like Coach said, I'm a junior this year, number 32. I'm from Rockford. I went to Rockford Lutheran High School. My major is rehab services. I'm applying to occupational therapy school in June, so that's exciting. When I'm not playing basketball, besides sleeping, I love to read and really just do any activity that's competitive, so play other sports, play cards, play board games, stuff like that. Like I said, my family's from Rockford, so I have an older and younger sister and a dog named Moses, and he's a toy poodle. Also on campus, I'm involved in Athletes in Action, which is a Christian-affiliated athlete group. So I love to do that, and I go to a Bible study affiliated with that, so that's a huge part of my life right now. I kind of wanted to take this opportunity to kind of talk about what Coach alluded to, the culture we've built this year, and how more than ever right now we're relying on that through the adversity we're facing right now. So really, I think you start talking about culture as soon as last season ended. Kind of in the postseason, we talked a lot about accountability and how we have a really talented team this year and how we're going to hold each other to a different standard and take it to the next level. So making sure we're getting each other in the gym and not letting each other rely on just that talent alone. So that's kind of the postseason. Then we went into the summer. I think our culture, we immediately enforce when we start boot camps. We really enforce that winning culture, doing whatever it takes to push each other mentally and physically in boot camps because they're really hard. Also, just the team bonding aspect is the first time that our new freshmen are there, so it's a new team dynamic, and we figure that out in boot camps a lot as well. And I think that's a huge part of our culture that we start to enforce. And then specific to this year, we had a visit from the people from the program in preseason. If you don't know what that is, basically it's a team of really amazing individuals. The guy who led our program, I think he was an officer in the Marine Corps. So we do their mission. They really just come in and they want to develop better leaders and create more cohesive teams. So for us, that looked like going through a lot of different tasks. Different people got to be leaders, and we really had to listen to each other, and physical and mental toughness as well. So that was really cool for us to experience. It was the first time we did that. Things that came out of that. So we kind of have a little leadership group on the team right now. It's basically all of the upperclassmen. We came up with standards that the whole team is going to hold each other accountable to. And those are just little things like making eye contact when you're getting coached or a teammate's talking to you, cleaning the locker room, just little controllable things. So we kind of got that from the program and realized how important that was. Another thing we got from them was when you're faced with adversity, you're going to fall to the level of your training and not necessarily rise to the occasion. So that was a huge thing I think the coaches and the team as well took away from that. As well, there's no such thing as leading by example. If you're going to get in the gym and do your work, you're going to bring other people with you. So that was another cool thing we learned from the program. Also, attacking everything with 100% is super important. And if one person on the team fails, the whole team fails because you don't hold each other accountable to accomplish the mission. So I think all those things we learned from the program really contributed to our culture this year, and our coaches and the leadership group have done a really good job of enforcing that. So I point all of that out because when we are facing adversity like we are right now, we kind of really have to rely on that and hope that the whole team has really bought into that. So basically that starts with like, we're in the position right now where we can't make excuses. Obviously we're not going to be continuing the season with John A. or Courtney, and that's a huge part of our team, and they still will be a huge part of our team, but we talk a lot about how like nobody feels bad for us right now. Like, yeah, it sucks, but the other team doesn't care. So we have to figure it out. Unfortunately, it kind of means going to the next man up mentality. And I think we've embraced that, especially this past weekend. I mean, Gabby had a monster game against SIU, and then Michaela broke tons of records or something against Western. But I think something cool about our team, a lot of upperclassmen have gone through a lot of personal adversity, mostly with injury, but also just in life in general. So I think that only helps us because we've been there. We've all experienced what happened last year and learned from that as well as far as injuries go. So we're not strangers to it. We know we have to make a statement and show what we've learned from last year. So unfortunately it happened, but it's a great way to show off our culture and show how every single person on this team has been working super hard, starting in postseason in the summer. So I think we're excited. I know our roles have changed, but we're going to embrace that and perform our roles to the best of our ability. So last thing, I just wanted to thank you all for being such great support to our team. Coming from a player, you guys are really a big part of how we can make DeKalb a second home because of all the support from the community and seeing everyone at the games, the same people, which is really cool. So thank you for that, and hopefully see you on Monday.
All right, now I get the pleasure of introducing my friend and softball coach, Coach Sutcliffe. I believe starting her 7th year at NIU, always playing their best softball in Akron in May, which is always fun. So I'm going to let you listen to Coach Sut talk a little bit about NIU softball.
Good morning.
Usually I don't have one of these, but Deborah caught me in the hallway yesterday and was like, you know you're speaking tomorrow, right? And I was like, yeah, I know, I got it. And she's like, you don't have anything written down? I'm like, no, I got it, I'm good, like, I'm fine. So just to make her happy, I wrote stuff down, but if I don't look at it, I look at it. But obviously, thank you for all the support in the room. She kind of stole my thunder with Dee a little bit. That's a long time coming, so I'm glad that we were able to be able to recognize her within our coaching association, and that she'll become part of that fraternity or sorority, I guess, of females, and we can acknowledge her accomplishments within our program. So coming here, obviously you don't really know what you're walking into when you come into a new program, but I had already been in the MAC for 6 years, so I felt like I had a pretty good grasp of what I was walking into. But the piece that I think you never know is the state of the program and the history of it. And until you live it, it's hard to really understand what that is going to be like. And I have been unbelievably fortunate to walk into, yesterday I was with Mary Bell, and, many times I get to be around Dee and Donna, and that's 50 years of our 60 years of existence, just within that group of 4. So to be able to say that you are ingrained in your program and that you have the support of those that have laid the foundation before you is something that I can never put words or the amount of success that sets me up for and what that does. And I truly believe that that's why we have been able to have some success here because of that. So within the room, I have my athletic trainer, Emily Belcher, who without her, we would not even be close to have any type of competitive team because I think with any sport, you're looking at injury. It's not if, but when. All 3 female head coaches in the room have had a lot of injury going on. And it's what you can do around that. And your athletic trainer is absolutely, we don't have the knees, we have the shoulders. So we're at like 6 or 7. It changes your team, but she holds the glue together. And then I have my new associate head coach, new as in associate. So she's had an amazing year getting married and getting elevated within the coaching ranks. So she's well on her way. Well, Alicia has been with me for 5 years now. Ash, unfortunately, is back home on the East Coast handling some family health issues. But I've had my staff for 4 years now, Alicia for 5, and when you can hold your staff for that long, it just becomes a well-oiled machine, and you don't have to worry about developing your staff and having the loyal front within your program. You can just worry about coaching. The players know what to expect. They know what they're walking into, so that takes a lot of pressure off me, plus hiring is absolutely awful. So that's been fantastic. So let's do real quick with last year. So last year, we like to categorize it into 3 seasons. In the beginning, we were really bad. In the middle, we were okay. And at the end, we were really good. So if you're going to have a season go anyway, that's the order you would like it to go in. So I don't know, right out of the chute, we just weren't competitive. Obviously, that's probably a coaching mistake in what we did. When we went to spring break, we were in Louisville, so I've kind of changed our spring breaks. Everybody wants to say, oh, go somewhere warm on spring break, you get 10 days. Well, that's fine, going and playing in 80s, and then you come back and you play in 30s in MAC play, and you get your butt whooped because you're used to playing in 80. So I've changed kind of that mentality, and we play in 40s or 50s for a spring break so that we can get them ready for MAC play, because that's what we're about to play, and my players don't enjoy that, but it is what it is. So we were in Louisville. It actually snowed while we were playing Kentucky. We had several snow breaks. Usually you get some rain delays, but we had some snow delays. They had their crew shovel snow off just so we could play their game. So that was interesting. But our association headquarters are in Louisville. It's where all the magic happens for our sports. So we decided on our day off to take our team to that association and just kind of get them to see the groundwork of who is responsible for giving them the opportunity to play. And to be honest with you, I thought my players were going to be like, yeah, coach is making me do this. Here we go, one more thing that we have to do. It changed our season around, hands down. Brug, who is responsible for our organization, is one of the most incredible people within the softball world, and she just had our players understand how lucky they are and how every day is a gift for them to get to play and how you get to reset your mindset every single day. So they really bought into that. She tells this whole story of being coffee beans, and coffee gets better as you brew it.
So that kind of became their theme, that they're getting better as we brew them. And they bought into it and they turned it around. So from there on, we kind of had a lot of success. The other piece that we're very different than basketball. Basketball, you know, I heard her say, oh, we played 7 games in the last month. So, yeah, we almost play 7 on a weekend. And so this year, our first 33 games are on the road. That's hard, no matter how you spin it. Yeah, sure, we get to go play in warmer weather, but you know, as beautiful as the Chesapeake is, the turf hop is a little different than the dirt hop. The artificial lighting is very different than the sun. Whatever. So it's just very different, you know, and then they talk about, you know, it's tough travel because they had a layover in Denver and they can't get into Montana, and yeah, that's every weekend for us. A layover is very normal for us. We get in at 2 a.m, go to school, and leave again the next week to go and play another 5. So it's all obviously relevant to your sport. But so that is going to be a challenge for us this year, is that those first 33 are on the road, partially thanks to the MAC. They think that the first weekend of the MAC we should go up to Buffalo and play, and that's a good idea. So hopefully that will become a home weekend unexpectedly. But so we do open up at Buffalo and then at Ohio. So the nice thing is we get those 9-hour drives out of the way. So yes, softball does drive to those locations. We don't fly. But the good news is in our last 19 games, we get to finally play our 15 home games. So within that, that's where this room comes in. You know, when you play that many home games and or that many road games and you're only home for dates, it's really important that you guys show up, because we're so used to just getting bashed. You know, when you go to play at Washington, you're playing in front of their crowd and you're just kind of getting beat up the entire time, and you can finally come home and have people cheering for the red and black. It makes a huge difference for them. And that is why we have been more successful on the back end of our seasons, because they finally get some love on their side and they kind of get brought back to home and why they're playing and who they're playing for. So if we can have some support for those games, I would really appreciate it. I know it's not always 72 and artificial lighting on you in a very controlled climate, but that's what makes this exciting, right? The DeKalb wind, like, we all choose to live here for a reason, so let's enjoy the outside. You can smell when the crops start to get planted, and it's really fun. But we do have a lot of success coming back on our program. We had Jenny Van Geertree. She was not only all-conference last year, but she also made all-region, and she was COSIDA all-district, which essentially means she was one step away from being an academic All-American. So she's going to be fun. She's played center field for all 3 years, and you actually may see her in left field this year. Freshmen may actually beat her out, which has been fun to watch that competition go around this. It's made her better. It's going to make, obviously, us better. Something I'm really proud of is last year we had 10 academic all-MAC players. So that combines both your academic and your playing ability. Only 9 play at a time. So the fact that we had more than our starters actually make that academic all-MAC kind of says a lot about our team. So we do have 9 freshmen this year, though. That's been an interesting recruiting situation. Not sure why we did that to ourselves, but so we do have 9 this year, and we just signed 8 for next year. So next year we're going to have 17 underclassmen, which is going to be really fun. That's why we do this, right? They keep me young. But out of those 9, I would say there's a solid chance 3 or 4 are going to start. So that has, last year, our depth is kind of what ended up getting us in the end, is we ran out of gas because we didn't have that. Now we're going to actually have the role bench players. We're going to be able to play a little more matchup than we have done in the past. Questions I get a lot is about our pitching. We're going to be down in the circle this year. There's just no sugarcoating it. We just don't have the experience. We graduated 3 senior pitchers last year. We do have returner senior pitcher, Alex Friends. She's battling a little bit of injury here and there. But behind her, we're very youth-oriented. We actually have a catcher who's pitching right now. Yep, you heard that right. She hasn't pitched. She didn't pitch in high school. She didn't pitch in travel ball. But she is going to get some collegiate innings. So it's just kind of, the injury is what it is. It's next woman up, and how do we do that? So that's kind of what our season's going to be. From a recruiting standpoint, we do go very national. That's kind of something, I know basketball goes international. I think the primary of her roster, though, is very Midwest, where we actually have anywhere from 8 to 10 different states represented on our roster. And that's just kind of how it is for us. So we go anywhere from Washington, Florida, California, Nevada, and then we have probably 50% of our roster from the Midwest on top of that. But that is something kind of unique to our sport, is how nationally we are. So that's kind of how we form our schedule. We get all of our players home before they graduate. So we have a senior from Washington this year, and that's why we're going out to Washington. We also have a junior from California, so that's why we're doing the San Diego. She was supposed to go her freshman year, but surprisingly we got rained out in San Diego, but was able to play at Ohio, so in February. But so we kind of go around the country trying to play where our players are from and get them home in front of their home crowd, and so that they can play there. So, but I want to thank you for having me. You know, Lisa, I think every month kind of just gives us the shout out, but it's not about the shout out, or, you know, we teach our players to show up. We teach them to buy into what is across the front in Northern Illinois, and I believe that starts from us. And, you know, if we're not going to show up for each other, then why are we doing this? And that's really important to me, and I get to see and meet all these amazing people at all the places that we are. And I'm not here just for my 22 young females. I'm here to be a part of this DeKalb Sycamore community. I'm here to be a part of Northern Illinois and to make this place something great. So that's, you know, I thank her for always having me, but it starts with our women's basketball. That's the program for women, and it's, in my opinion, our responsibility to make that something great. And it trickles down. When women's basketball and volleyball do well, my players feel that, and we feed off of that, and we continue. So I guess selfishly, it's a little internally motivated for that reason. But, you know, it is, this place is something very special. I enjoy the feel of the small town. You know, everybody's always like, oh, you know, when you're looking for that next job, it's not about that for me. I'm at where I want to be. I love the small town, I love the community, I love the support, and I love the coaching staffs that I get to go with, and I have one of the most amazing bosses in the country, so there's no reason for me to look elsewhere. So thank you for having me, though. Yeah.
Do you have a problem recruiting people from California, players from Florida, that they know they're going to come up here and play all these cold weather games? Is that a problem?
Yes, the question was about, do we have a problem recruiting? I think there's players in California that are very adamant that they're not leaving the state of California. And then you get players from California that are very adamant that they want nothing to do with going to college in California. And that's obviously the pool that you need to look at. Some players from those states are so sick of the hustle and bustle that they come here, and this is just so different for them that they fall in love with it. When they get here after year 1 or 2, they're like, okay. You know, and we've been very lucky in Florida. So our pitcher, Bailey Whalen, who hasn't pitched yet, and she's a junior, will finally get some innings this year, coming off of several injuries. She's our first Florida contact. You know, Abby Howlett, who's a senior in Colorado, happened to be playing Bailey's team. And I was just showing face at Abby's game, because at that point she had already verbaled, and I fell in love with the pitcher that she was facing. And then by watching Bailey, we liked her teammate. Her teammate just kept getting on base. Scap, every game I was at, she was on base. I'm like, who is this kid? She is always on base. We purposely brought him to camp in January, because we're not going to sugarcoat it. If they can figure out a camp in January here. And that weekend it was like below 20 wind chill. So it worked out perfect, because that's what I needed them to understand. And they said, yeah, I want something different. You know, I can always live the rest of my life in Florida. And then we just got another verbal out of a Florida player in 2 years from now who will be coming, who actually is an alum's daughter. So we're just kind of continuing that Florida. Arizona's a little easier because there's only 3 Division I schools in the state of Arizona. There's a lot more talent because they get to play all year round, so that's a great state to go pluck players out of, because there just isn't as much opportunity out there. Texas, I leave alone. There's something about that state of Texas that they're odd. If anybody doesn't know, Deborah's from Texas, but Texas players don't seem to want to leave. So we stay away from that state, but that's about it. Yeah, it's a challenge. This is a great place, though. Why wouldn't you want to be here?
your center fielder, isn't she kind of small and with packs power?
Yeah, that's our whole team. We are probably 5'5" and below for the most part. My dad yells at me all the time, like, could you finally get some bigger players? She's very small. There was a 5'2" second baseman for Alabama who had 25 home runs on a year. So I think with today's technology, I don't want to take her talent away from her, but with the bats today, it's a lot easier to be a power hitter now.
Well, I didn't mean in height. She was kind of slight.
She's super small. Yes.
Slight.
She is. We teach, Coach Abbott is responsible for that. We teach to hit line drives, and sometimes they go over the fence. And that's what we've really instilled in her, and that's what happens. Sometimes they happen to go. She's not a home run hitter by any means, but in the DeKalb wind with today's technology, sometimes that line drive goes over the fence. Yeah. She's not a Katie Grable, though, if anybody, or an Emily Nagel, if anybody knows the history of our program. Those two All-American big power hitters. She's by no means one of those. Awesome. I sort of used it.
Raffle. Your favorite time. Second favorite time. We're going to do 5 of them. So let's see how Abby does. If she focuses on one table again. 955-844.
Thanks, girls.
Nice. 1. That was Maya. Okay. 955-849. 849. 849. You have to be present to win. Sean, did you get that one? 955-849. Look at your... Okay. Nobody won that one. We'll have to do 6. 955-840. It's Abby. 840. Atta girl. All right, that's 2. There's Michaela. All right. 955-833. Oh, Sally. There we go. That's Gabby. All right. 955-853. 853. Oh my gosh. Can staff win this?
Please.
All right. Perfect. One more. Last one. 955-832. Man, we have some table hops going on. Good stuff. So the Price is Right is back there. Quinn and Adam will help you with that. Let's see. Let me look at my notes. Thank you, Abby. Appreciate it. Deborah, wrap up raffle 5 winners. Right. So again, Monday night. It's Monday night doubleheader. Women's basketball, men's basketball. We play Eastern. They play Western. So a little bit of a Compass Challenge continuation. So please check out that. I won't be there. Melissa, who's gone now, is going to go work, will be there. So please, give her your full attention. Any other questions, comments, concerns? January 8th. January 8th, we have Sam Royale will be visiting us, and he'll be looking to open his season on January 18th. So keep those dates in mind. Again, appreciate all the support of women's athletics. Thank you, and go Huskies. Have cake. Eat cake.